Hey everybody, Bonehead from the Bonehead podcast, and welcome to Blood Bowl 7's Slann teams. So we're looking at Blood Bowl 7's rosters for all the teams available in Blood Bowl 2020 right now, whether they're from the rulebook, the Teams of Legend PDF, or the NAF expanded teams, and that's exactly where the Slann team are from. So if you've played Blood Bowl for a little while, you'll know that Slann was kind of brewed up as part of the community efforts to keep Blood Bowl alive back in the Dark Ages, and Slann have got a super heavy theme towards Leap. Now, Slann have been in the fantasy lore forever, ever since Warhammer Fantasy was developed. They then became the big fat frog wizards from Warhammer Fantasy Battle in kind of 4th edition. But before then, they were anthropomorphic frogmen. And that's what these guys are. So Slann lean heavily towards Leap. Basically, they've all got leap, they've all got very long legs. Now, that has got nerfed in the new edition of Blood Bowl, but Slann have been given the pogo stick rule by the NAF. So the NAF have created this roster to keep them alive. If you've played Blood Bowl 2, you may have come across a Kislev team. Kislev are Slann, but reskinned. So you've got a Krox here, which was the bear with the chain. And then you've got the frog people instead of the Russian circus kind of crew. So if you're a Kislev fan, Slann is the roster for you because it exists. It's NAF official, and it's right there for you guys to use. So the two expanded NAF teams, Khorne and Slann, add elements to the game that no other team does. This team is high variance based on leaping. The other team is high variance based on blocking. So they both bring unique elements to Blood Bowl, and that's why I personally love having these in the format. Anyway, we're looking at rosters for Blood Bowl 7s. Blood Bowl 7s is a quick play format for Blood Bowl with a smaller pitch and a smaller time frame by a long way. You can get a game in about 40 to 45 minutes, and it's my absolute favourite way to play Blood Bowl. So let's have a look at some of our favourite rosters for Slann in 7s. So, strengths and weaknesses of the Slann. So, their catchers are fantastic. They were probably my favourite positional in the before times, in the long ago. Now, they can't pass quite so well, but they still do what it is that they do really well. So, it's amusing they're called catchers because nobody's throwing on this roster. These catchers come in at movement 7 with agility 2+, and that sweet pogo stick, very long legs. So pogo stick means they're leaping around on their agility, just their agility, no modifiers. So these guys being Ag 2+ means that they are leaping on a 2+ forever and ever, amen, which is awesome. Very long legs is going to be super helpful to intercept a pass if they get the opportunity as well. But we're going to focus on the fact that what that really means is you've got an Ag 2+ player with movement 7 that can bamf 2 squares anywhere they like on a single 2+ roll. I love them. Back in the day, they used to be that good at passing as well. They're now down to passing 4+, and you know what? That is probably fair. They're only 80k, and they're only armor 8+. They've also got diving catch, which is pretty good. So when they're receiving the kickoff, and if a scattered ball comes nearby, as in scattered from the air, not from the ground, they're going to have the extra chance basically to pick it up, which is really useful. So I love the catchers. I think they are fantastic. But the Krox always shines. Now, we love big guys. In 7s, they are great fun. Definitely high variance, okay? Definitely high risk, high reward. But the Krox is one of the better, if not the best big guy out there. Bonehead means it's doing stuff on a 2+, and that's every stuff ever. Whatever stuff it wants to do. Knitting, cooking, blitzing, all 2+. And with movement 6, they've got the mobility to get around and punch things. So you can take one Krox 140k. Movement 6. Massive movement for a big guy. Strength 5, exactly what you want to be 2-die blocking almost anybody ever. Agility 5+ is a bit rubbish these days because break tackle does not combine the same way. It basically just gives +2 if you're strength 5. So it's a 3+ break tackle instead of the olden days where it was a 2+. That's a big difference. Armor 10+, Bonehead, Loner 4+, Mighty Blow +1, Thick Skull. So with Armor 10+ and Thick Skull and Strength 5, it's going to be very difficult to get this Krox gone. And they've got Prehensile Tail as well, which is going to help keep things in base contact with it. Not as good as Tentacles, but definitely going to stress your opponent out. So they've got some great positionals on this team. Weaknesses, Leap. Leap is awesome, and the fact is that their linemen are leaping on 3+, their blitzers are leaping on 3+, and their catchers are leaping on 2+s with no modifiers. The downside is that they're going to fall over a lot. Now, the linemen have got a reasonable armor. Their armor is 9+, so if you leap with the lineman, it's going to probably be okay. But every time you risk a leap, you risk losing a player. I ran Slann in a league just a while ago. So my first 4 games went fantastic. I went 4-0, then I drew, and then I suffered casualties. And then everything went wrong. And I ended up finishing the season at 4 wins, 1 draw, and then 4 losses. So Slann can suffer, and the more you leap, the more you risk. And so beware. It's a strength, but also it's a weakness. Low skills. You've got no combat skills on this team. None at all. Okay, the best thing you've got is diving tackle, which is on the blitzer. No wrestle, no block, no sure hands, which is right there, and no dodge. So the team is very low on skill, but massive on mobility. So you you get a trade-off, and that's what makes them such a unique proposition. The first roster we've got for you today is the KCC Apo. This one comes in at 590, so use that extra 10k to get an assistant coach, and maybe you'll get an extra reroll. So this roster focuses around 1 Krox, 2 catchers, 4 line frogs, and an apothecary. Now straight up, you can drop the apothecary and take a 5th line frog to get you that bench. I was floating the idea of the apothecary on this roster because it is probably going to be more advantageous to keep the Krox alive if it does go down, or to keep one of your 2 catchers alive because of that agility 2+ and better movement. Now 2+ feels great. You're still going to fail every now and again. So having that apothecary there to fail, to put you back together again when Humpty Dumpty fails his leap is going to be pretty useful. But the strength of this roster is in that Krox and those 4 line frogs. Those line frogs are 60k apiece. They're movement 6, strength 3, agility 3+, passing 4+, armor 9+, and they've got pogo stick and very long legs. They're basically human linemen that can teleport 2 squares on a 3+ if they really need to. That makes them incredibly flexible, and that's why you need to focus on the line frogs here. You've got 2 catchers, and those catchers at movement 7 and agility 2+ are going to be able to fill in the gaps of your agility roll, collecting the ball, collecting things if you need to, putting yourself in a dodgy position if you really need to. They're going to have that advantage. But your core combat contingent here is essentially a Krox and 4 human linemen that can teleport. That gives you a ton to do. Now, skills-wise, the Krox gets better with a bit of combat skill. Brawler might be okay, but you're going to be blitzing with the Krox more often than not. If you've got a double, and you might do because this is a tier 2 team, if you've got a secondary skill, block on the Krox, making him that superior creature we all know as the Bloxagor is awesome. Failing that, actually, having guard is going to mean that everybody else has better strength. Armbar combines beautifully with Prehensile Tail if your opponent fails a dodge to get away, which of course Prehensile Tail helps you with a negative modifier. Armbar gives you Mighty Blow to them falling over. So if they try and run away from your Krox, which they're gonna do in 7s, if they fail the roll, which they're more likely to do because of Prehensile Tail, they go down and you get +1 to the armor roll. Fantastic. Brawler is okay. Brawler is great on a Krox in 11s, but there is no line of slaughter in 7s. You do not line up and get punched, so you kind of lose the advantage there with the Krox. Break Tackle is alright, gives them a 3+ mobility. If you've got a double, the Bloxagor is awesome. Catchers are so good. They get general and they get agility. Making them movement 7, agility 2+ dodgers is fantastic. Okay, sure hands is going to be good. Block is going to keep them up. Wrestle is going to make them very effective at taking that 2 die up opportunity blocks. So Bamf in somewhere on a 2+ and go for a 2 die up wrestle can be really effective, but it is very, very risky. The better thing to do is to put dodge on these guys. It's going to keep them alive a little bit longer. It's going to keep them mobile, and if you have to dodge out of a place, 2+ with a reroll is way better than taking a leap on a 2+ with no reroll. They are very cool with guard as well, but it's kind of wish listing at that point. Now, those line frogs we've already talked about, they are the unsung heroes of the Slann team. So any skill is good. Any regular skill is good. Block is great. Wrestle is great. Having the ability to 3+ take that risky leap anywhere is really good. Guard is good on a double. It's going to help everybody else be more effective. Jump up is always useful to keep your guys mobile. Kick is superb in 7s on a Slann team. Kick the ball short. Your guys can mob around it. And then that cheeky 2+ leap out with a catcher is going to get you a touchdown. Now, I love the Kroxigor, but the catchers are pretty sweet. So, 4-catcher reroll build, you get 4 catchers and a reroll with 3 line frogs. No bench at all. But what you do here is you max out on those hyper agile players. 2+ agility with dodge and a 2+ leap move means that you can dodge into the open on a 2+ with a reroll and then get into a tricky position. And instead of having to use another dodge, you can just teleport the other side of a problem, teleport the other side of a cage. It is awesome, and having 4 of them maxes out the ability to pull that off, and you've got a reroll for when something goes wrong. The downside of this roster is that those 4 catchers are all strength 2, so you are super vulnerable here. They're gonna get splatted, you're gonna lose 2 catchers a game, you've got no bench, but if you receive, you score quick, and you get the opportunity to use all 7 players to force a turnover of your opponent, all you need is 2 touchdowns and you should be pretty set to win 2-0 or 2-1. So this one is risky. And if you are the kind of player that loves rolling dice because you tend to roll hot, this roster is going to be unstoppable. However, if you come up against anything that's got a reasonable high strength or reasonable combat contingent, I'm thinking Chaos, Black Orcs, Dwarves, you are in for a tough day. You can tone it down a little bit here. We've got the 3-5 Apo build, 590, again, assistant coach, 3 catchers, 5 line frogs, so that's 8 players. You've got a bench now, and you've got an apothecary. Same thing that we said earlier also applies here. You can actually drop that apothecary, and then you have 60k left, and that 60k can be spent getting you another line frog if you want, but you've got 1 bench already. That Apo is going to mean you're going to maintain 3 catchers at all points and 7 players on the pitch. This is a probably better roster than the 4 catchers. You lose that speed and agility a little bit, but with the Apo and the bench, it means you actually just get to play Blood Bowl for longer. Or you can run the Krox mix. Now this one also comes in at 590. Suspicious, isn't it? 1 Kroxigor, 2 catchers, 1 blitzer, 3 line frogs. So we haven't really talked about the blitzer yet because it's a really weird player. 110k, pricey. Movement 7, so you've got that extra movement. Strength 3, agility 3+, passing 4+, armor 9+. Okay, so it's a movement boosted lineman. Diving tackle, jump up, pogo stick, and very long legs with general agility and strength on a primary skill. So the blitzers are really good. They're basically boosted linemen. The downside is they are almost the cost of 2 linemen. Jump up is great if you're planning on blitzing around. Now, when it comes to the blitzer, they are superb with wrestle. You can take block and it's going to be a great defensive skill for them as well, but wrestle means you can jump into a place. You are strength 3, which means you're going to be 1 die blocking most of the time, and you're going to be able to drag that ball down. You've also got diving tackle, so if your opponent tries to dodge away, you basically just give them an extra opportunity to drop to the ground, and that's really useful. Jump up keeps you mobile, so if you fail that leap, you've got armor 9+, you're probably going to be okay. You just pop up their next turn for free, no movement lost, and you're back in it. They're not as good at scoring as those catchers. That Edge 2+, Leap 2+ versus Edge 3+, Leap 3+ is just significantly worse. But Movement 7 is great, Strength 3 is really good as well. The skills they've got, Jump Up's cool, Diving Tackle's challenging, but it combos really well. Failing a Leap and using Diving Tackle does work really well in conjunction with Jump Up. They're like a one-man combo. Now the strength of this roster, as you can see, is you've got 1 big guy, you've got 4 strength 3 decent armored players, one of them's that blitzer who is movement boosted, and you've got those 2 high edge players. This means you've got your big guy, your blitzer, 2 ball carriers, and your 3 linemen. This has got everything you need except the reroll. Stay away from the leap, play a tight game, you'll have all the pieces here to win lots and lots and lots. Or you can bin it all off and focus heavily on your linemen. So this was going to be the all-in lineman reroll roster, but actually, nah. 1 Kroxigor, 6 line frogs, and a reroll. So you get that big bruiser. Movement 6, strength 5, mighty blow. Love the Kroxigor. These line frogs for 10k are human linemen with leap and very long legs. And pogo stick, essentially. So this is a really interesting roster, and you've got that 1 reroll for you to do something. This is a weird roster that is actually going to be able to play a lot of the time. And at tier 2, you're going to get potentially 3 skills. So you can put 1 skill on the Krox, and you've got 2 line frogs that can do stuff. A couple of blockers, maybe a couple of wrestlers. You can build your own team. You've got that reroll. It is good. You are limited and you do miss that Edge 2+. The catches are so important because just most of the time if you're rolling a 2+, you don't even need a reroll. Whereas on a 3+, even with a reroll, it's going to fail. Looking at you, every player with Edge 3+ and sure hands ever. Yes, you throwers. So this is an interesting roster. It was going to be the mean one for the video, but I actually think this is going to be fine. I love Slann. I think they're great, and the Line Frogs are underrated. The Krox Line is rated correctly as one of the top big guys in the game. This roster is going to brawl. I wanted to pick the 3 catcher build as my choice, but I do think that the Krox mix is probably the best way to do this. You've got that Krox Line as your kind of removal piece, you've got 2 catchers, and you've got that Blitzer. Now the Blitzers are kind of underrated because they're just not very good at anything, and they are really expensive for what they are. They're 10k short of being 2 Line Frogs. But they are going to be really utilitarian, and if you're in a format where you've got a few skills to throw around, then you can boost that Blitzer up to be a really good player. We can even put guard on them to assist everything else. So Krox mix I really like. If you've got a decent skill, you can put it on the Krox Line, 1 dodge on a catcher, wrestle on a Blitzer. You've got all the pieces there you need to play a tight game of Blood Bowl, but you've got the backing in the catchers having that sweet 2+ edge. So as long as you can protect them, they are going to be absolute scoring machines. I love Slann. I think they're great. I think they're a really interesting and really unique team, and I really hope Games Workshop brings them back into the lore. They're kind of retro. G-Dub has looked at this with some of the other models they've brought back, the Squats, the Ambles, the Zote in Blood Bowl. I would be really surprised if we didn't see Slann or some kind of Leap roster in the future. It's really cool, it's really unique, it's a really unique challenge, and it sits right slap bang in the middle of tier 2. They've got a high upside, it is going to fall apart a lot of the time. It's just a really unique challenge, and I think they're going to be quite explosive in 7s. Anyway, let me know what you think of these guys in 7s in the comments below, because I'm intrigued as to see if anyone else thinks they're going to be pretty decent. This roster here, 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. If you play them well, I think they're going to have that advantage. I like Slann, I like them in 7s. Let me know what you think, and I'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Thanks very much for watching. Happy leaping! Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to support the show even further, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Or come and join us in our Patreon, link below, where you get early access to our content and monthly competitions. See you later.